What's up, everybody? Welcome to the King Closers Formula on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Today, we're going to be talking about chaos. Chaos in our wholesaling business, how chaos will forever reign as an entrepreneur. It's going to reign inside of your wholesaling business and how you deal with that, how you overcome the struggles that come with chaos, and quite frankly, what causes the chaos. Right. This is going back to a couple of weeks ago. We did the counterintuitive principles, and I continue to want to kind of push our thought process and our mindset outside of, hey, wholesaling is for everybody. And wholesaling is an easy business, and wholesaling is just marketing and sales, and we can simplify it down. That sells programs, that sells courses, okay? And I'm not here to do that, okay? I am here to change people's lives, and I want to impose on you guys to think differently about this business, differently than how the masses talk about it, because when I look back at what has created the success that we have here at Titanium, it has always gone back to thinking differently about this industry. How can we swim upstream? How can we do anything and everything possibly different than what everybody else is doing? Of course, there's things that we have to do that are just core principles of the business, right? Like direct to seller marketing, the dispositions, the transaction coordination, comping and underwriting, all of that. Those are things. This is not going to be tactical. This is from an overarching, 30,000 foot level. When you're looking at your wholesale business, this is you as the business owner thinking differently about this business and embracing the things that you need to embrace as that business owner, so you can sustain a wholesaling business 10, 11 years like we have. And now at this point, we're comfortable where we are a decade in, right? Some people that are pushing themselves out there and they're talking about this business, they haven't been in the business long enough to even really know what they're talking about. If you've only been in this business 2 or 3 years, well, quite frankly, you just don't have the experience to be talking about this industry because you haven't seen enough ups and downs, right? At this point in time, I feel comfortable saying, hey, these are the crazy things. These are the chaos creators that you're going to see in your side of your business that you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to overcome those and, quite frankly, embrace those. Because the point in today's video is chaos is always going to reign. What are we as wholesalers, right? We're chaos managers. We're problem solvers. We're literally reaching out to people in some of the worst predicaments, either whether it's physically distressed property, they're financially distressed, right? And we're saying, hey, we can solve that problem. Well, sometimes it's as simple as, we just buy your real estate and we can solve that problem. Other times it actually takes knowledge and a skill set to be able to solve that problem that they have. Case in point, when you come across a seller facing pre-foreclosure and the auction date is just in a couple of days, that is a skill set that you need to learn how to be able to stop that foreclosure. What happens when there's judgments and liens that maybe exceed what the purchase price could be on that property? How do you handle these situations? These are versions of chaos that, as chaos managers, we have to find a way to deal with that. And the facts are, as a business owner, the amount of money that you make is directly proportionate to the amount of problems that you solve, right? I'm sure you've heard that said time and time again, but it's a fact. And the more problems that you can solve, the more money that you're going to make long term. And so chaos is not a bad thing, right? I think we look at it, and sometimes when we feel like our business has become chaotic, that maybe we're failing. Well, maybe it's just because you have grown and you've become uncomfortable with the growth that you're now achieving. And you're not ready for that amount of growth, right? We realized that early on in our business where, when it was just me and Cassie, and then we hired a couple of people, and then we tried to continue to grow, right? There's new chaos that comes along with new people being inside of the business, right? Maybe it's not necessarily a problem that you're dealing with a specific deal, but now you're dealing with chaos with employees and their personal things and things like that. So I've got a list of chaos that we're going to go through today. Number one on this list is a chaos factor that I think everyone is concerned about. And quite frankly, there's not a whole lot that we can do about it as we see it coming in rapid fire. It's kind of crazy, but the regulations against wholesaling, right? This is a chaos factor that as wholesalers, we are going to have to learn how to adapt, deal with this, and overcome it. I've said it time and time again. The regulations on the wholesaling industry are not going to stop the wholesaling industry. In fact, what it's going to do is it's going to make the wholesaling industry a better industry to be in long term. Because no matter what, there will always be a workaround, right? Even with the absolute terrible regulations that have come down in South Carolina, there's still multiple workarounds, right? We can actually just take out a loan and buy the property and then resell it, right? There's the installment method, which if you don't know what the installment method is, go back and watch my podcast with Devin Robinson, right? There's always going to be a workaround. And even with that regulation, with as one-sided as it is written, there's still technically it's up to debate on whether or not that it totally wipes out your ability to wholesale, because it is talking about marketing the property, not necessarily marketing the contract. So we have seen multiple theories where it's like, hey, maybe there's some gray area there, which again, as wholesalers, we don't really have a problem playing in the gray area. So there's always going to be a workaround one way or another. Inside of the regulations, though, instead of feeling like your business is falling apart or, quite frankly, your industry is being taken away from you, take my mindset on it as every single day where there's new regulations that come about, I look at it and I say, this is eliminating my competition, which is one of the things that I want to do anyways as a business, right? This is a dog-eat-dog world, right? I don't necessarily want my competitors to succeed because that means they're taking food off of my plate. So when I look at it and I say, all right, if there is literally the government is getting involved, NARG is getting involved, realtors are getting involved to eliminate some of my competition, and all I have to do is spend a little bit of time as a chaos manager and figuring out a solution, which is by nature what we already do as being a wholesaler, is being a problem solver, then is this really a negative for the industry? Probably not. I welcome it. Bring it. It's going to allow us to get better deals. And quite frankly, with less competition, what we see is that every deal will become more and more profitable, because most people, hopefully not you listening to this, will give up. And they'll say the chaos is too much. I can't handle that. That's why they don't make the amount of money that you're going to make in the long run. They don't want to solve the problems that you are willing to sit down and solve. So if it's a regulation that comes out and maybe, it's a little bit extra work, guess what? For every little bit of extra work that you do, you should be making more money, because less people are going to take the time to do that. What's up, Michael T? I agree, Michael. Let's get some likes on it. Hey, I don't know if you guys think this is recorded or not. We're live, baby. Let's get the comments rolling. Where are you guys coming from? I want some interaction. I'm not going to sit over here and just talk to the screen all day. I want to talk to you guys as well, interact with you. This is not pre-recorded. We're live, baby. So let's get some comments in here. Where are you guys watching from? Let's get some action going on in the comment section. Come on now. All right. Let's talk about chaos factor number 2. This is where we get into a little bit more of the tactical side of running your wholesale business, okay? Lead generation. So when you talk about lead generation, there's always an uncertainty that follows that lead generation, right? I know this because, quite frankly, the vast majority of the time when I am creating these videos, what I am trying to do for you guys is to answer a question about some uncertainty that you have for your wholesaling business. And so anytime that we talk about lead generation, one of the biggest concerns is like, hey, I saw a post inside of the Vault, our free Facebook group yesterday, which is like, hey, RJ, if you only had $2,000 left to spend for PPL, which one would you choose? Would it be speed to lead? Would it be lead Zolo? Would it be property leads? Well, that's like me trying to pick between which one of my kids is my favorite. Okay? They all work. We all have deals right now under contract with each one of those lead generation tactics. We have deals that are sold, assigned, that we're making money. We make money on each one of those every single day. And you're saying, hey, choose one. The facts are, there's always an uncertainty that comes with any sort of lead generation. You can go swipe your card for $2,000 for property leads today and not get a deal. Same thing with speed to lead, same thing with lead Zolo. Does that mean that those don't work? No. That just means that those specific leads did not lead to signed contracts and signed assignments and wires sent to your bank account. Okay? There's always going to be that uncertainty. It's the same uncertainty when you pull a list, you skip trace it, you cold call it, you pull a list, you send direct mail, right? Back in the day when we were doing texting and RVM. And here's the other thing. With some of these lead generation tactics over the course of the past decade, what was working and working well for many years got taken away from us, right? RVMs got taken away from us. Texting got taken away from us, right? Cold calling has increasingly become more difficult over the years. So there's always that uncertainty inside of lead generation. So for you, when you're sitting there and as an agent of chaos, right? How are you going to deal with that? Well, I talked about this at the beginning of the year. Set a budget and put together a plan and be prepared to work that plan, win, lose, or draw. Don't go into this saying, hey, I've got $2,000 for marketing and I'm going to spend $2,000 and I hope to get more money, because that is setting yourself up for failure. There has to be a level of consistency that comes with your marketing and your lead generation so you can build up your queue of leads, so you can create the ability to close the deal that doesn't need to close today, that needs to close 6 months from now, or the ones that don't answer the phone the first 15, 20, 25 times you reach out to them, because that happens. And people look back and they say, well, I bought 10 leads from speed to lead and only 3 of them answer the phone. Well, that's okay. That doesn't mean the other 7 are never going to answer the phone. They just haven't answered the phone yet. So there's always that chaos when it comes to lead generation. And a lot of times people will get started in their lead generation and then give up. And that's where their business fails. The immediate first sign of that chaos where it's like, this isn't working. I watched RJ on YouTube. You know, he got 30 leads and he got 3 signed contracts, and he said he's already sold one for $60,000. You know, they cherry pick those leads for RJ. They send me the bullshit leads. No, they don't. I get the exact same leads. Okay. I try to prove this to you guys over and over again, where it's like I'll go on the marketplace, the speed lead, and literally buy the lead live and be like, hey, this is just as chaotic as it is inside of your business. And then I get the signed contract, and it's like, well, that's a special lead for RJ. No, it's the exact same lead. It's just the different level of confidence that I have living inside of the chaos of lead generation. I'm willing to be consistent and continue going after it over and over and over again, because I know that if I am consistent with my actions of lead generation, it's going to lead to results. The only thing that I can guarantee you with lead generation is that if you spend money on lead generation, you have created yourself an opportunity to make money. That is the only thing that I can guarantee you. Nothing is guaranteed. You could go buy 100 PPL leads. That does not necessarily mean that you are going to get a contract. But you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with saying, but it did give me 100 opportunities. And whatever actions I take in between there, that's my responsibility. And I take ownership over that. And I take ownership of the results. And I don't pass the blame and I don't pass the results on to LeadZolo or Speed to Lead or Property Leads or Batch or PropStream or whatever. No, the responsibility and the ownership of that is on me and my company and my team. Outside of that, I know that it's given us the opportunity to succeed. All right, let's move on to the third chaos generator, okay? Talking to sellers. Now, listen, this is one of my favorite topics. You guys know that. King Closer, baby, right? I love this. Follow the closer's formula and it's going to work. Here's the thing. The person on the other end of the phone is a human being that you have no idea how they're going to react to anything that you say. We can make assumptions and we can base those assumptions off of percentages of like, hey, the vast majority of the time when we ask this, we get this kind of a response. But the facts are that talking to a seller is a very chaotic moment for us, because we never know what problem they're going to tell us. We never know what price they're going to want. We never really are going to know their timeline or their true desires with selling their property. We just know to some degree that there's some underlying motivation as to why they would want to sell their property. And that's about it. Now, for a lot of us, this is the chaos moment that we are completely comfortable in. Like, we expect this to be chaos and we can live inside of this one pretty comfortably. And for a lot of us, we enjoy it. Like, to a certain degree, I love having the conversations with sellers where, like, I just don't know what they're going to say. I don't know where it takes us. This is why, again, I preach, like, don't follow a script, because you need to be able to pivot. You need to be able to adapt to whatever that other person on the other end of the phone is saying to you. If you have the ability to actively listen, then you have the ability to underwrite and comp deals while you're on the phone and educate them on the numbers and educate them on your process, then you should succeed over the course of time. But the reality of it is you have to be willing to deal with the chaos in the moment. All right. So that one's pretty simple. So, we mentally overcome the fact that there's regulations and people trying to come down on our industry. Okay. And then we're in it. We're a wholesaler. We get past spending money on lead generation. We're generating leads. We're completely okay talking to sellers. And so we're getting contracts. And then a lot of times this is where the chaos can become overwhelming for a wholesaler. It's like, okay, there's contracts and there's a lot of things that have to take place post-signed contract, right? One being transaction coordination and all of the things that can happen during transaction coordination, right? This is where the title issues come up. This is where you find out that there's another seller that actually needs to sign the contract they haven't talked to. This is where, judgments, liens, all types of things can come up and kill the deal for you, right? Well, again, our money is directly proportionate to the amount of problems that we solve. So a lot of times in this circumstance, your ability to do proper transaction coordination, overcome the issues that come up during the TC process is what leads to you getting paid. So being at least equipped to handle this is what can move the needle for your business significantly. This is why I tell everyone that joins Titanium University, hey, guys, you start getting multiple signed contracts. Well, let's not try. You're a wholesaler. Let's not try to become a professional transaction coordinator, because those exist. And they're experts of what they do. That's how they get paid. That's how they feed themselves. And they have their own chaos inside of their business that they're dealing with. Let's let them deal with that. Outsource this. This is one of the things that I believe everybody should be outsourcing inside of their wholesale business is transaction coordination. Go out and hire a company like Easy REI Closings. If you don't know who they are, check it out, titaniumtc.com. Listen, let them deal with that. It's amazing. Ever since we have been working with Easy REI Closings, I've had to answer a lot less of, hey, RJ, what title company should I use in Houston? Hey, RJ, what title company should I use in Memphis, Tennessee? Why? Because they deal with that. They understand what paperwork needs to be used. And guess what else they can help you with? Overcoming those regulations on chaos factor number 1. Because they're doing deals in all these different states. It's very simple to reach out to your TC that works and handles all of your files and say, hey, I just got a signed contract in Nebraska. What do I need to be able to do to get this deal to the closing line? Okay. They're going to say, well, you need to work with a realtor to do the marketing of the deal, because that's the regulation. That's what Nebraska is really hammering down on, is they do not want an unlicensed individual doing any marketing of a property. Okay. Mr. Realtor, I will pay you $250 out of this closing if I can put you on my investor lift page. Boom, it's done. Now you're able to go dispo your deal. Okay. That is how utilizing a transaction coordinator can help you overcome some of those chaos factors. The other thing is they're experts at doing affidavit of heirships, probate cases, overcoming child support, liens, all sorts of things that can kill a deal for the not experienced wholesaler. All right. The next one, number 5, dispositions. So again, just like during acquisitions, when we're talking to a seller, okay, dispositions can be even crazier, because we essentially acquire deals and get them under contract under an assumption that that is where our end buyers want to buy the property, or that there are end buyers even looking to acquire deals. We don't actually know that. It's not like we're hanging out with them, talking to them on a daily basis, and they're like, yeah, I'm definitely looking for another flip in that zip code. Maybe they bought one in the past in that zip code, but that doesn't mean anything. I've bought properties all over Dallas County. If you brought me a deal right now in Dallas County, the answer would be no. I am not looking to acquire any more deals in Dallas County. So there's chaos that comes with the dispositions, because you're making that assumption when you start having those conversations. Maybe where they bought previously is not where they're buying it price point wise anymore. Location. Maybe they have too many deals. There's all sorts of chaos that can come up inside of the conversations that you have with your end buyers during dispositions that can significantly impact your ability to do that. And then also, more importantly, kind of tarnish your mindset a little bit about what you're doing, and can really impact your ability to continue to want to go out there and acquire more deals, and the confidence that you're going to have on the phone when talking to sellers. Because it's like, I just got one there, but the first 3 or 4 or 5 buyers that I talked to over here, they're kind of kicking my teeth in, and maybe I got it at the wrong price. Maybe it's a bad area. So there's a lot of chaos that can kind of come along during the dispositions phase that can impact you as well. And then on something that like most people don't want to talk about when it comes to dispositions is there's times where also, quite frankly, you're just not going to find a buyer. No one shows any interest. And you almost, you feel lost. Like, dude, was I just that wrong? Did I just not know? Did I not know what I'm doing? Did I comp and underwrite this deal? Was my ARV off? What's happening? And I've seen this time and time again from people where it significantly impacts their level of confidence on the phone with sellers because they have to terminate a deal because they couldn't find a buyer. And it almost is like crippling to them, where it's like they almost are like reconsidering what they're doing. And that's sad, because the facts are that's a part of our business. It's going to happen to you. You have to find a way to mentally overcome that hurdle and that challenge and not let it be crippling to your business. It's just going to happen. And quite frankly, it's probably going to happen to the tune of about a 1/3 of your deals. And that's if you're doing good. I mean, there's going to be somewhere in the range of 10 to 20% of your deals that just fall out for all kinds of various miscellaneous reasons, title issues that can't overcome, scam, not a seller, probate issues, whatever it is. There's going to be something that comes up. And then probably another 10% of your deals that just you can't find buyers for. I know this isn't like sexy and people don't want to talk about this, but it's part of being a wholesaler. That at times you're just not going to be able to dispose your deals. Don't let that chaos slow down your momentum and keep you from moving forward. All right. All right. Let's see here. Got some comments. Sam says, RJ, I won't give up. That's the first step, Sam. Good job. How many times do you call a lead back that hasn't picked up yet? I call them until they tell me no or yes. So we just keep calling them. Let's see here. Cold calling has been slow for us as well. Remediate your numbers daily and don't make them 75 calls. Yep. Make sure you're not getting your numbers marked as spam. Anthony Allen. What's up, Anthony? Got a few FISBOs that were extremely motivated. Once these clear, we'll have 4 to 5K marketing budget. Cold caller has not been getting consistent leads for us. Launch is sporadic. I'm wondering, when you say launch, I'm wondering if you mean launch control. Yeah, man, I like I said, I would really look into with 4 to 5K PPL would be extremely beneficial for you. Okay. Josh says, this right here is 100% of what I've been dealing with. I feel like shit when that happens, and it's so crippling. Dude, you're not alone, and that's why I do these types of videos. I mean, quite frankly, these videos are not great for engagement. You know, we have certain videos when we make sexy titles like 5 simple steps to 125 contracts. Those videos get 17,000 views. I do this video right here. We have 24 people watching, right? The reason why we're doing this, though, is because this is the stuff that ultimately moves the needle much more significantly than 5 steps to talking to a seller. Okay. If you can build a mental foundation for yourself as a business owner where you can overcome the chaotic struggles that you're going to have, that's what enables you to last a decade in this industry. I mean, over the decade that I've been here, I've seen so many people come and go. And a lot of the times, the reason why people go, some of it's going to be over the next couple of things that we talk about, the last 3 things. But they weren't mentally prepared for dealing with some of the chaos that was just going to be part of being a business owner. But specifically as a business owner in a wholesaling business, what does that look like, right? Were they married to a tactic? Were they married to an exit strategy? Were they married to a geographic location? Were they married to the success they were having, and then the moment that success dwindled, right? Like in your case, what you're talking about in reference to, hey, terminating a deal, does that literally cripple the business? Does that cripple the business owner, because the business owner is having to look at this and say, hey, I might need to get back in a driver's seat. I might need to talk to a seller. I might need to do dispositions. And that feels like such a step back as an entrepreneur. That I've seen it cripple people time and time again. All right, let's talk about issue number 6. Issue number 6 is HR issues, right? This is once you get to a point where you start bringing on team members and you have people working for you. And it's crippling is not a word. Demoralizing, that's the word I'm looking for. It's demoralizing when you take the time to pour into someone to work for your organization and you build the core values, you train them on how you're going to do things the way that your business wants, and then they leave for whatever reason. Sometimes, specifically in the wholesaling industry, it's very common for people to come into your business, siphon all of the information that they can out of you, learn what you're doing to succeed, and then say, all right, I'll go do it myself. And they go out there and they decide they want to do the lead generation, and then they already feel like they're doing everything else because they're doing acquisitions or dispositions, and they don't really care about you as a business owner, and they move on. That's demoralizing. The other thing is it's demoralizing when you hire someone and you train them up and then they're not what you expected. They don't bring you the results, right? You pass on a task with the hopes that they're going to be somewhere in the range of 60 to 70% as efficient as you at that task, and they're not. What does that mean? What ends up happening? Every small business with a bad hire, right? Revenue drops, profit drops, and your pay as the business owner drops, right? So, but again, going back to the amount of money that you make is directly proportionate to the problems that you solve. As you scale your business, as you grow your business, you have to get better at managing people and hiring and training, and then on a daily basis, making sure that they're getting you the results, getting the company the results that is necessary for that position. Because listen, just having an ass in a seat is not good enough. You need the right person in there, and there needs to be a goal set for the results that they are going to achieve for the business. Otherwise, you go out and you get the right person to sit in that seat. And this can be demoralizing. I talked about it, over the decade that we've been in this industry, how many people I've seen come and go. The vast majority of people that have just faded away has been because they have decided they are no longer going to be inside of the business. They're going to work on the business, right? They read the book Traction. They say, I'm a visionary. I need an integrator. Now, I'm too good to do acquisitions. My time is too valuable. I've already reverse engineered it. I make $2,000 an hour, whatever ridiculous idea that they have in their head. And they say, I'm too good to do acquisitions or transaction coordination or dispositions. And so they hire people and they delegate that out. And then they just, whatever happens, happens. And they decide, I'm not going to work 40, 50 hours like I did at the beginning when I begged for the opportunity that exists today. I walk away from it and I say, I want freedom. You have to earn the freedom. And just because you did it for a little bit and you went out and hired people doesn't mean that the business is ready to sustain itself moving forward. You're supposed to be the expert. You're the one with the experience. You're the one with the vision for where this company is going. And if you're not there to carry that, if you're not there to be the ultimate chaos manager and help the team overcome the trials and the tribulations that they're going to face over the course of time, then yes, the business will fail and it will fade away. and so will you, just like all these other people inside this industry that I've seen just fade away. So let's move on to the next one. What's up, Patrick? Good to see you, brother. Number 7, tactics that become broken. This is, dude, you want to talk about chaos. 2022, chaos. SMS, that tactic, completely broken. Interest rates go through the roof. Dispositions tactics, broken. Okay, no one's buying deals. The lead generation tactic that everybody was using got taken away from us. And the tactics that we had that we thought were invincible, just gone overnight. So if you don't have principles, the foundation set up inside of your business that say, hey, this is what we're doing. And quite frankly, we learned a lesson in 2022. This is not like I'm sitting back and preaching from a high horse. This is me saying, hey, I learned this from experience. You have to have tactics inside of your business, but also realize that over the course of time, those tactics are going to evolve. They're going to fade away. They're going to fail. You're going to have new tactics that come in, or otherwise you are going to fail and you're going to fade away. And dealing with that, that is where as a business owner, you have to be able to make quick pivots. You have to be able to make decisions very rapidly and not let this be like a overwhelming thing, because to be quite frank, if you have a team, they're going to look at you as the leader and then they're going to say, what are we going to do now? I remember when my team did it, and they looked at me and they said, our texts aren't going through. No one's responding. I can't talk to a seller today. What are we going to do? It was a humbling moment. I have another phrase around here, is a butt puckering moment. It's like, we're all in on this tactic, and it's not working today. We start placing phone calls, and it's not going to work. There's not a thing. There's not a change to be made to make it start working. So we had to change the tactic, and that's where we went. Luckily for us, we had another tactic at the time, which was speed to lead. We were able to just pivot right to speed to lead and just go in on those leads and make the change that was necessary. But that chaos, that could be enough to cause the chaos issue right before it, HR issues. Holy cow. Our tactic just got broken. Boss man doesn't know how to pivot and make a change. I'm out of here. I quit. And now you're going, okay, well, my lead gen's broken. I have HR issues because someone just quit. My tactic's broken. And I don't have any sellers to talk to, which means I don't have any transaction. You don't have a business at that point. The chaos can quickly consume your business, can consume you mentally if you don't have the ability to solve that problem and quickly pivot inside of your business saying, this is what we're going to do moving forward. So don't become married to any tactic inside of your business, because they're all temporary. That's a fact. All right. I got asked this today. I was recording a podcast, and I added this one. I had the rest of the list. I didn't have much room to add it, but I thought it was a great question. Because this is probably the one that a lot of us, we don't want to admit. But the biggest chaos creator inside of our business is usually ourselves. How do we avoid chaos? By not chasing shiny objects. Now, I talk about my little hedgehog up here. It's kind of chopped off with my little graphic up there at the top, but having a hedgehog concept, which that's great. I mean, I know you guys listen, and I'm sure some of you have actually taken that to heart. and actually written down a headshot concept. The vast majority of the time when I ask me, what's your headshot concept? It's very vague. And they can't quite explain it to me in depth as to what that means their business truly does. And because of that, we start doing a lot of different things, right? Like, for example, my headshot concept is a nationwide virtual wholesaler. We do marketing in all 50 states. We don't go on belly-to-belly appointments. We close everything on the phone, and our exit strategy is the wholesale. Well, some people will say, well, I want to buy properties sub 2, keep them as rentals, do wraps. I want to do flips. I don't want to turn down, those marginal wholesale deals. I want to do novations. I want to have passive income, so I buy rental properties. And so it becomes a little bit of a muddy headshot concept. And then even more shiny objects come out. Like, for example, today, the gentleman that I interviewed on the podcast, he was talking about cryptocurrency. It's like, okay, well, we made some money wholesaling. Why don't I dabble a little bit in crypto? Why don't I dabble a little bit in another investment, avenue? And the problem with that is that when you start chasing all these shiny objects, you only have so much bandwidth. You only have so much mental bandwidth, time bandwidth. And if you start going down that path, and you do it time and time again, because the problem is as entrepreneurs, a lot of times, when we get most excited is when we're in the discovery phase, right? The new idea. Think about how excited you were when you first found out about wholesaling. And when you really wanted to start, like, okay, this is what I want to do. It felt like it was going to be the greatest thing in the world. And the guest on the podcast today, he was talking about that. The reason why he asked me that question was he said, listen, I had a multiple 7-figure wholesaling business, but at the end of the day, he wasn't happy, wasn't satisfied. And so he was like, how do you stay so focused on one thing? How do you avoid chasing that shiny object and saying, I want to go do something else? Because naturally, that's what we get excited about. That's what inspires us as that entrepreneur. And so I want you guys to think about this a little bit different when we're talking about all of this chaos. I want you to fall in love with execution. I want that to be the new thing, not find the next thing that you fall in love with, the new shiny object that you want. The shiny object that you should always be chasing is execution. If you can fall in love with execution, then the results are going to be astronomical, because you're going to be consumed by becoming more efficient in your business. And the new ideas you could be coming up with are ways to execute better. This is what has taken us to a whole nother level here at Titanium Investments. When we got to the point of, hey, let's find a way to truly build out a formula to execute on talking to sellers. Let's find a better way to execute during transaction coordination, and execute during dispositions, and execute during the hiring and training process. And when we fell in love with execution, it wasn't like one day we weren't succeeding and then we were. It was, we went from a level of that roller coaster effect to things suddenly just started continuing to go up and up and up. And because the daily conversations that we had were no longer about what tactic should we do or how do we overcome this problem, it was, this is how we're going to be better every single day. These are the things that we're going to do that make us execute. And that is such a game-changing moment for us. And it took me and Cassie probably 12 and a half years as an entrepreneur to figure out that that was the most important part of being an entrepreneur. Not falling in love because the book Traction told me I'm a visionary and I'm supposed to come up with new ideas. No. Have a hedgehog concept. That's your business. Go all in on that. Now, as the visionary, truly cast the vision for that business to execute and fall in love with that process and be inside the business, living in it as an organic machine and say, all right, this is what we could do. I have an idea on how we can tweak a little bit here to be a little bit better. And with every little tweak, if we get 1% to 2% better, how much of a difference does that make over the course of time? That is what it's made the biggest difference in our lives. And I cannot impose on you guys enough that, listen, no matter what, the chaos will always exist. Every Thursday, I'm coming out with these new videos called, Oh, That's Fucking Adorable. And it's where these crazy things have happened inside of our business, right? This Thursday, it's about how vultures overtook one of our flips. And it basically forced us to own the property for an extra 6 months. That's chaos. There was nothing I could have really done to avoid that. So I'm not talking about avoiding that. But what are the things that we can do every single day that we can control to execute? And listen, at the end of the day, I am completely comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where you need to get as a business owner. That if for whatever reason, I am suddenly comfortable sitting here inside of my business, then that means we're not growing. It's like when I go to do workouts and my trainer asks me, how did that set feel? If I come to him and I say, oh, it was easy, he's going to say, well, one or two things needs to happen. We didn't have enough reps or we didn't have enough weight. It shouldn't feel easy. It shouldn't feel comfortable. That means you're not pressing yourself. You're not pushing yourself forward. So I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that kind of conversation inside of our communities where it's about how we're finding better ways to execute. Not asking me, hey, RJ, should it be property lead, speed to lead, or lead Zola? It doesn't fucking matter. Swipe a card. Do some lead generation, okay? That's not what's going to move the needle. All right. Mr. Alan Young missed the first part of the show. You can go back and watch it. Real quick win. 2 Thursdays ago, locked up a $55 property lead for $30K in an hour. First nationwide lead in Iowa, assigned for $63,000. First pro. So you spent $55 and you made $33,000. What is the ROI on that? I don't even know. That's ridiculous. Congratulations, Alan. Thank you for sharing. And that's what I'm talking about right there. Here's the thing. To reiterate what I said earlier on, he's got 4 more locked up this week. That's huge, Alan. Lead gen. There's no guarantee that anyone's going to be able to replicate Alan's results there. Why? Because of chaos factor number 3. He's talking to sellers. He's talking to another human being. You have no idea what that person's going to say on the other end of that phone. What their timeline is, what their price is going to be, what their needs going to be. But I can promise you this. If you're consistent and you keep giving yourself the opportunity, then it's inevitable. At some point in time, you're going to get a property under contract for $30K and assign it for $63K. Because you've given yourself that many opportunities to be able to go do it. Congratulations there, Alan. All right, guys. Listen, that's what I got for you today. For those of you that want to know, there's a very few of you that showed up for my Chaos Reigns. Appreciate everyone that did. I thought today's content was really good. So give the video a like if you like today, because I mean, listen, I want people to hear the message. Maybe I should have came up with a better title, but the title actually came from a song that I listened to from the Browning. It's called Chaos Reigns, and it's been out for a couple of years. And as I was listening to the song, I thought about it. It's like, this is exactly what we deal with as entrepreneurs every single day in our business. And that chaos, it absolutely reigns. It's not going to go away. And we shouldn't want it to go away. Because if it went away, guess what? Anybody could do what we do. And that I do not believe that. I do not believe that this industry is for everybody. It's for a special few that are willing to come in and put in the work and deal with this chaos and be problem solvers and say, I want to live inside of the chaos and I want to solve those problems. I want to overcome it because I'm comfortable there. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable because that's where growth happens. That's where the astronomical results happen. That's where we can make $33,000 on a $55 investment. I want to live there. That's why I wanted to do today's video. So make sure you give the video a like if you appreciated today's message. Tomorrow morning, podcast comes out with Dane Ballwinkle, where we talk about his real estate journey and now how he's dabbled into cryptocurrency. Thursday, we've got Oh, That's Fucking Adorable with the Vultures. Friday, Between Two Belts with Bob McIntosh. I think I might have another video come out on Friday as well. Saturday, King Closer Reacts. Sunday, we got Real Estate Hot Takes with Mitzi Diane. That's our schedule for the rest of this week. Last question. Now, the question is do I stay nationwide or niche down a little bit in the larger markets? I heard what you said with Robert about rural properties. Nationwide works, but I don't have a good dispo system. Well, buddy, you have enough money now. You better go get you a investor lift. I'd stay with nationwide, man. I just, to be honest with you, I believe in it. I think you can definitely go get you an investor lift for the dispositions. And don't steer away from it, man. I mean, even if you need to JV some of the deals at some of the rural locations, that's okay. We still JV with other people. And the last thing, Titanium University, the Trinity, our third class is sold out. Man, that's crazy. Listen, we opened up a week ago. We sold out in a week. Every single person has to go through a call. 30 people. We were sold out. Sign up for the wait list, titaniumu.com. You can go on there and sign up for the wait list. We'll be opening up the fourth class probably in a month or so. But, man, great job, team. Listen, it's one of the coolest buildings in the world. I haven't talked to hardly anybody about Titanium University. I just get to come on here and do what I'm passionate about, which is talking to you guys about how to eliminate all of your excuses for your virtual wholesaling business. And because of that, my team is amazing at what they do. Nick, he's a beast, man. He's a beast at bringing people inside the university. Me and Cassie are blessed to have him. Seeing Justin and Garrett and Sima, the rest of the team, work on the university. It's just an incredible experience. If you guys haven't joined, listen, I don't know what you're waiting on. You get in early, okay? Just so you know, the prices are only going to continue to rise, and it is the best community for virtual wholesaling. And I promise you, there is no better place to learn how to do what you want to do to change your life with wholesaling than Titanium University. All right, guys. That's what I got for you. I appreciate you. Love you guys. We almost got 20 likes on this video. Damn it. There's 31 watching right now. Go like the damn video, okay? It was good-ass content today. Appreciate you. We'll see you guys tomorrow.